And I want this to be the beginning of how you see how we continuously evolve and change our process. So we don't run brute force screens anymore. All of the starting points for all of our programs are now through in silico predictions based in our map. And we're excited about this program because this is the first program that was based on an in silico insight that has actually made it to IND enabling studies, and excitingly moving very quickly because we expect to submit the IND in Q3. So this program is based off of the knowledge that a target CDK12 is potentially an interesting therapeutic target and a biomarker for homologous recombination proficient cancers. But this is a really challenging target because of its close homology to CDK13. And we know that inhibiting CDK13 can lead to a number of toxicities. And so our drug discovery scientists took CDK12 and they looked broadly in our whole phenomics map, and they looked for genes that looked highly phenosimilar to CDK12 as potentially an adjacent target to be able to help this patient population. And what they found is RBM39 as one of the most closely phenosimilar genes to CDK12. And actually, so we shared this with many of you actually download day 18 months ago, and it's only in the last couple of months that people have started publishing papers actually sharing more about this finding. So you can see how, using our maps too, we're really ahead of the game in finding a lot of these exciting insights. So now if our teams go and they look more broadly in the map, they can also find compounds that look highly phenosimilar to both RBM39 and CDK12. So these might be potentially interesting compounds. But remember, we do not want to generate just another CDK12 inhibitor. So in an ideal world, we'd have an additional data layer that would enable us to predict whether or not these molecules are CDK inhibitors. And we have that in Matchmaker, which we acquired through Cyclica last year. So what I'm showing you, maybe just a second to say what Matchmaker is, since we haven't introduced it yet. It is a method for us to predict protein target ligand binding interactions. And so what I'm showing you here are those predicted binding for 9 different CDKs, and I'm showing you 2 of our hit compounds as well as 2 positive control CDK12 inhibitors. What's important is an in silico binding Z-score of above 2 is considered significant. So you can see in the red box that our 2 hit compounds are not predicted to bind to any CDKs, whereas our 2 positive controls are predicted to bind to multiple CDKs. Now, of course, we can quickly confirm this in an in vitro assay. So what I'm showing you here is a CDK12 activity assay. We see our 2 hit compounds in the pink and the purple. At increasing concentrations, we see very little inhibition of CDK. In converse, we see very significant inhibition in 2 known CDK12 inhibitors. So thereby confirming what our Matchmaker predictions suggested. Now, I won't go through the rest of this program, but what I do want to say about this is how important it is, and you heard both from Lena and Chris, around how we're continuing to improve and build on our predictions. And I think the RBM39 program is a perfect example of exactly how we do that to drive drug discovery more quickly. So what I'm showing you here are the actual numbers of compounds that we profiled through each of a small number of highly standardized assays throughout this process. And you can see where we started in silico with millions of potential options. We were able to quickly narrow down and synthesize only just around 1,000 compounds in phenomics, and so on and so forth, down to that single candidate molecule, which is now in IND-enabling studies. And we did that incredibly quickly, as you can see on the timelines. So going back to our process, for this program, we we used a few more of our modules, but actually this program was still fairly early days in our industrialized process. And so our drug discovery team members actually used these modules in a fairly manual way because we were still kind of learning how to use them and how to think about driving drug discovery programs more quickly. But we were able to take the logic of using these modules for this program and really automate and start to create automated decision making. And so the next two programs that I'm going to show you really highlight that once we've got this flywheel spinning, how quickly and efficiently and how many exciting insights we can find using our system. Oh, and not to put too fine a point, we were able to deliver this program in less than half of industry average from a target to an IND.